to tutorial 1, how to make a simple motion tween. We will create a simple object, which will be a ball, and we will make it move across the stage. And we're going to use the classic tween, which gives us a little bit more control over our object and the location of the object on the timeline. So let's begin. With number 1, we need to open a new document. So we go up to the top and select File, New. The shortcut is Control-N. We will select ActionScript 2.0 because we are designers. If we were developers, we would select 3.0, but for what we're going to do today, you need to select 2.0 and say OK. If your timeline is not at the top of the screen, if it's at the bottom of the screen, you're not using the classic workspace, and it's so much easier to work with your timeline with it at the top. So what you would do is go to Window, and the selection for workspace is almost at the bottom of this menu, and then you would select Classic. So we have completed number 1 and 2 on tutorial 1. On number 3 it says create a simple object, and what we're going to do is we are going to create an oval shape, a ball. And so on the toolbar, if you just put your cursor over the items, it will tell you what they are. I'm on the rectangle tool. If I hold down the little triangle, a flyout will come out, and I'm going to select the oval tool. I'm going to come down to where you see it says fill color, and if you just select the fill color, then you can select all sorts of other colors for the ball that you're going to draw. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select a green gradient for this example. Anywhere on the screen, just draw a ball, and you can even draw it off the screen. But where you're starting right now, we're on the screen, and if you notice, once I draw that, if I go up to my timeline, I have a dark circle in frame 1, which means this is a keyframe and there's data in this particular frame. Because it's important to always remember to name our layers, I'm going to double click in the layer and I'm going to call it ball. And then go back to my selection tool. So now what we need to do is draw a marquee around our object, and we are going to make it into a symbol. And the way that you make a symbol is F8. And I'm going to name my symbol, and the naming convention, because it will be a graphic, I'm going to call it lowercase g underscore BALL. And for type, I have movie clip, button, and graphic, and we're using a graphic option. And then I'll say OK. Now our tutorial tells us to place our cursor in frame 10 on the timeline, and we will add a keyframe, and you add a keyframe by pressing F6. So what it's saying is I've just made a copy of what's right behind me in frame 1. Anytime that you hit F6, it's basically just making a copy of the information in the frame before it, the keyframe before it. So now I'm going to move the ball somewhere else on the stage. And so you'll notice in frame 10, the ball is at the lower right hand of the stage. If I click on frame 1, it's at the top left hand side of the stage. Then we need to do this again in frame 20. So I'm going to click in frame 20. It's going to make a copy of what's in frame 10. So I'm going to press F6 and move the ball somewhere else on the stage. And then it says to do this once again in frame 30. So I put my cursor in frame 30, press F6, and then I'm actually going to try to move my ball back to close to the starting point. Now we need to add classic tween. Make sure you're adding classic tween in between the frames. So I just click anywhere on the timeline between 1 and 10 and right click and select the third option, create classic tween. Then I press anywhere, select anywhere between frames 10 and 20, right click, create classic tween. I do that again between frames 20 and 30. Just put my cursor anywhere on the timeline, right click, select classic tween. I'm going to select frame 1 and then I'm going to just press the enter key and see how it moves across the screen. So I've already saved this file as ball or simple motion tween on the J drive in my personal folder. I've gone to Files, Save As, and saved it. And then once I've done that, then I can go up to Control, Test Movie in Flash, and it'll automatically generate an SWF file in my personal folder on the J drive where I save the FLA file. This is a small web format, and this is the file that we will insert in our web pages. A couple of other things: if you right click on the stage, you can go to Document Properties and you can change several things about the document. Here's the stage size, 550 by 400, which is 5.5 inches by about 4 inches. I can change the background color by simply clicking on this little box, and I can change the frame rate of 12 seconds. It defaults to 24, and I would go to about 12, which is a nice pace for a movie, and say OK. So congratulations, you have completed tutorial 1, making a simple motion tween using a classic tween. Thank you for watching.